All right. Online dating, what does that look like? So in my last video, I was talking about how you can recognize a healthy relationship. I didn't give any specific pointers. I think I was just talking about the experience that I have, and maybe through those experiences you could think about what is working for you, what isn't working for you. But today I'm going to talk to you about online dating and whether or not that's something that you want to think about. So when I was younger, I'm going to start from the beginning. I must have been about 15, 16. I went on chat rooms. Now, I want you to understand that chat rooms are not something I would call the best way to date someone. Okay, and I'm laughing about it because I was doing that. I was trying to find eligible men through chat rooms that would be good to date. So anyway, we'll start from the beginning. With the chat rooms, they were great places for me to talk to people, because if I'm being well and truly honest, back in school, I was very insecure about myself. I was a teacher's pet. I was smart, but I didn't believe it. And I tended to hang out with people who other people would call as mentally retarded, because apparently they thought I was mentally retarded only because I didn't have much belief in myself, and I wanted to hang out with people that were just nice, you know, not people that I always felt like I had to challenge myself against. So anyway, chat rooms was something I guess I started when school was finishing. So I didn't want to be the type of party animal. You know, my parents were still the types of people that were very much protective, on my guard, on my case. And if I was to hang out with people, you know, children at that time, my parents were friends with people that had teenagers, and therefore the teenagers would hang out with me. That's kind of how it worked. So if I was, you know, not talking to them, then yeah, I would sort of revert to chat rooms. I also felt that chat rooms were a really great way for me to get to understand people's problems. I guess I've always been the type of person who likes to help other people with their problems, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that there are thousands of people with problems, and some people just are full of them, and unless you're a qualified social worker, I really don't think you should invest your time into helping someone who has 6 million problems. And well, let's be honest, if you're not getting paid for it, why would you do it? Yes, for the good of people, but it takes a lot out of you emotionally. And as I said in one of my videos, I am an emotional person, so I take a lot of things personally, which I probably don't need to, but that's just part of my personality. So I use chat rooms to get to know people, to make friends. As I said, I was socially insecure sometimes, so it was a lot easier for me to talk on chat rooms. And during that time, you know, there's that whole, you talk on the chat room and that's with everybody, and then there's the private chat rooms where you can privately talk to somebody. I hope that's making sense. I'm not trying to make it sound stupid. I'm just sort of explaining the difference between the two. General chat rooms were okay, but I did actually prefer to talk to people privately. And I never messaged anyone to be rude or to be creepy or anything like that. I tended to have people message me first privately, and I was okay with that until, of course, it went out of hand. And trust me, there have been that many conversations I've had that have been out of hand. There was, and this is probably something that you may or may not be thinking about, But yes, I did have someone ask me if I wanted to have cyber sex, and I got rid of them straight away because I really didn't understand what it meant, and I really didn't want to know what it meant, and because I had the word sex in it and you're doing it online, it just sounded wrong, so got rid of that person straight away. So chat rooms, I feel, and the reason I'm talking about this is because that's how my online sort of life happened. Chat rooms are okay for you when you feel that you want to talk to people that are not face to face, and you have to know when enough is enough. My mother hated the fact that I was on chat rooms, and I will not deny that it may have been quite unsafe, but I never, when I was on chat room, I never organized to meet anybody. And when I talked to them, if I felt like something was really out of place, and there were a couple that were a bit really odd. There, you know, I had one video where I was talking to someone, and on the video the guy was I could see his body, but I could also tell he was, you know what, and I got rid of him because I didn't think that that was a very appropriate conversation. But I think through that there were some sort of shocking things that people were doing, but you don't, how do I say this? When people go on chat rooms for the first time, they get so scared that that person's gonna come and get them, or they get so scared that that person's going to emotionally damage them and all of that sort of stuff. And you know what? Only you are the one that lets them do that. If you tell yourself, I'm on a chat room, there are some people out there that are not so nice, and let's be honest, they don't have to be online, they can be offline as well. You're the best person to say, okay, enough is enough. And I'm not trying to say this to you to scare you. I just want to let you know that if you're one of those people who likes being on chat rooms, go for it. There's nothing wrong with that. You are the one who controls your conversation, not anybody else. You are the one that controls meeting up with somebody. See, that's the thing, is what was scaring my mum, was the fact that people organize things with people on chat rooms to meet up with them, to go for a coffee, to all this sort of stuff. And then that's when it gets out of hand, because that person, you know, when you meet them, they could be really scary and take you home and all this sort of stuff. Like, it's all really crazy gloopy stuff. But I didn't get to that stage because I didn't organize to meet up with anybody. You know, if that person wanted to talk to me on the chat room, and that was it. I would not take it anywhere else. I mean, the other worry was, oh my God, you're talking to someone in the chat room and then they can sort of track you down and find you. Well, really, there are so many people that go on chat rooms. How many of them are going to come and find you? You know, again, it's up to you. And sometimes I had people that I talked to about the problems that were happening with chat rooms, and I mean things like guys who said something rude to me, or things that were inappropriate. I'd tell somebody else and they'd say, oh, you know, that person's horrible. But I don't know, I just came to this stage where nothing really made me cry on a chat room. Maybe a little bit worried, and that was like when I was fully into somebody. And trust me, there are a couple of guys that I met on chat rooms and I fell head over heels when I talked to them, like on a video like this. But if anything, it involved with 1 minute we were talking, like we really enjoyed each other's company, and the next minute that guy said that they didn't want to talk anymore, so I'd feel a bit heartbroken, or I would realize that, you know, really I don't want to talk to them anymore because I don't think there's much that I'm interested in, and you just sort of figure that out. Online dating, however, was something that I really wasn't really into doing for the longest time. When I had seen, you know, these ads online of eHarmony and RSVP, I was just like, what? Why do people do that? Why can't they just meet somebody in person, you know, just at a dance class or sometimes a pub or, you know, something like that. And again, I was more of an online person. I preferred to, not in a creepy way, but I just preferred to talk to people online because I felt like I could really connect that way to start off with. And on top of that, I was working in childcare, so majority were women. So I didn't really, you know, get to a point where there was a guy there that I went, whoo, you know, he looks after children like I do, and yeah, you know, we're really gonna hit it off. I found a lot of those guys nice. They were very kind, but I was more than childcare, so I needed to find somebody who was not just a childcare worker. Like, I really wanted to find a guy that loved being out there and traveling like I did, and, you know, just being interested in the world genuinely like I did. I'm not saying they didn't, it's just that, have you ever been to work with somebody that you're dating? It can be a little bit strange, I think, at first, and unless you're able to keep the two from getting to each other, I think it's hard. I wanted to find that someone that was completely, you know, not where I worked and did other things. So after being on chat rooms and learning about what people are like online, and just keep in mind that if you're one of those people who likes being on chat rooms, there's nothing wrong with that. Don't organize to meet with them, just talk to them online. If you really want to meet with them, I think you've got to give yourself at least like 4 or 5 months. I think you just really have to learn to know what they're all about, because different stories happen for different people, and I'll get into that in a second. So I went on so many different sites. I had single girlfriends who would do the same thing, and I think at that time we just thought it was funny. It was just stupid fun to see what sort of guy was out there, and, oh, you know, could he do what I wanted, and all that sort of stuff. So I spent a lot of time, what do you call it, like, I don't even remember the site that I went on tons. I went on tons of dating sites. Yeah. Somebody on, I met Hamish on, was it tag.com? Something like that. And tag.com was also where I met the guy that I was going to meet in Adelaide, before, well, who was sort of emotionally messing me up before I got to know Greg really well. And it must have been 3-4 weeks that I was messaging Hamish and he was messaging me back, and then we met up. And in one of my videos I'd mentioned that I met him with my friend Sarah, who had a dog, and because it was the first time meeting someone online, it was nice to have somebody come with me and just make sure that everything was going to be okay. And it was. Nothing went wrong. He was okay with it. I was okay with it. I'd let him know as well. That's the other thing. If you're meeting someone online, you're bringing someone with you, God forbid, let them know that you're bringing somebody with you, because it's a bit of a shocker if you just go, hey, I'm here and this is my friend. Unless, of course, you make it seem like it was an accident and they sort of turned up with you, and or you met them there as well at the same time. It could potentially happen like that as well. But you know, you want to keep in mind that if they want to bring someone, you want to bring someone. You want to make it even, you want to make it safe, and you want to make it fun as well. Like, the more the people, the better. Yeah, so that was the first one. It was fine. The one with Aiden, I met him by myself, and I met him in a shop. Target, I think it was, in the clothes store. Yes, that should have been a clear sign that he was gay, but again, because he met up with me, I didn't really, I was very naive, I didn't notice anything. And because we were in the shops, there are cameras everywhere, so anything that would have been a bit weird, again, I would have been safe. And yes, we did walk off after that, you know, to walk and talk, but nothing to worry about again. And please don't think of me as being lucky, because it's not about luck. It's about knowing your ground, and it's also about making sure that you know yourself. Like, if there's a situation that's not quite a cup of tea, or not quite in a safe zone, then you have to be the one that's responsible to know where that is. None of these guys came to my house the first time we met. None. And again, you have to keep that in mind, because when you're meeting someone the first time, they say, come to my house, or you say, come to my house. Yeah, that's a really, I think that's a little bit more dangerous than meeting them in a public place where other people are there. And again, if you bring your friend and they bring their friend, I mean, it's fine. And with Greg, so my third, again, I met all three of them online. So Hamish was through Tagged, Aiden and Greg were through POF, Plenty of Fish. Yeah, so with Greg, I met him at a coffee shop, and it was so weird because it was the day I was helping a friend in the building that I was in shop for a dress, or like she was going out for a birthday party, and it was like 2 hours, and she just couldn't make her mind up about what she wanted to wear. And it's okay when someone, you know, wants to try on different dresses, but seriously, I'd given her a couple of suggestions and she didn't want to have anything to do with it. She'd say yes, and then she'd say no, and then it was really tiring. Anyway, I met up with Greg at a coffee shop and a public place. Couldn't really hear each other because there was construction work happening outside where we were sitting, so that wasn't the best. But there was something about him. I mean, I'm not saying there was anything dangerous about the other two. Again, don't think they would have done anything to, maybe Aiden more so. There was something really dark and dingy about him, but really, through the time that I was with all three of them, nothing really dangerous, you know? Nothing where I was like, oh my god, I think I should run away because I'm gonna get hurt or stabbed or something. No. But yeah, Greg just had this really gentle personality, and he helped me go shoe shopping that day. Okay, so it was something that was really crazy, but he helped me out, and after that he went back to doing what he had to do because he had to help fix someone's car, and I went back home, and that was it. That was our first sort of meetup. So there was nothing, you know, to do with him coming upstairs and having a coffee with me or anything like that, or me going to his place and having coffee, because he had something to do, and I probably had things to do at home as well. And really, when I was going through that hard time with that other guy about him wanting to kill himself and all that, Greg would come at all hours just to be by my side. So I knew for a fact that he was a very kind person, and maybe I should consider having him in my life. And then it happened. So I want you guys to know that not every online dating situation works out. And if you have heard any of those stories about about meeting people online and how they take them home and they kidnap them and all this horrible stuff, which I'm really sad to hear about, also understand that their situation was very unfortunate, and it could be that they didn't have any help from home, or it could be that there was something there that we don't know the sort of story to. I mean, I had heard a story about a guy meeting these girls online, and unfortunately he'd sexually harassed each one, inviting them over to his house. I mean, you already realized that they went to his house, and unless you're on your guard, I don't know if they went on their own and thought, oh yeah, you know, I can deal with this guy, all that sort of stuff. It's his home, it's his environment, and you just don't know what he's capable of. And for me, I made sure that I had somebody by my side, or I was in a public place, or I felt like people were watching. So if anything, you know, was at all strange and creepy, I was going to be safe. Had my phone with me and all that sort of stuff. And you're just making sure that you've got everything covered, because then you're going to be okay. I'm not saying that you can be 100% safe and nothing will happen, but I'm also saying that I am living proof that online dating does work, and if you want to do that, go for it. There is absolutely nothing wrong with giving it a go, because depending on your situation, with mine, as I said, I was in childcare, so I didn't really get to meet any guys through that, and I didn't have my parents with me anymore. You know, they were in Perth and I was in Canberra, finding things out on my own. And to be honest, that tends to be the time when you meet somebody, is that you're left to your own devices. You're left to figure things out for yourself, what you want in a relationship, all that sort of stuff. And you know, there are guys out there who have jobs that don't really have women working with them that do the same thing. I mean, yes, it could be work that you meet someone through, it could be classes that you take. I mean, there are so many different types of meetups these days that you can go to and find somebody, or concerts, all that sort of stuff. But I also think that online dating really narrows it down a lot, because yes, profile is important. It's not 100% important, and I'll explain that in a minute. But it gives you and them an idea of what you're both looking for. Okay, my camera's about to die. It's really telling me to get off here. I just want to say one more thing. So when I met, I came across Greg because apparently he liked my profile. That's what POF said. POF does odd things. Anyway, I noticed that he liked my profile because that's what POF said. So I messaged him first and I said, hey, and he wrote back to me, and you know, we started having a small conversation, and I gave him my number, and I looked through his profile, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, why else would you go online to meet somebody? You're gonna look at it a little bit and figure out what that person was all about. Funny story is, on his profile, his first or second language was Arabic, and I thought that's really odd. Anyway, talked to him on the phone, and his voice was so Australian, it wasn't funny, and I couldn't help but ask, is there any Arabic in you at all that I don't know about? And he said, oh, I'm really sorry about that. He said apparently he hadn't been on POF for ages, and he hadn't changed things on his profile. That's another thing to look out for, is that sometimes, you know, people get back on it a bit later and they haven't changed things. But as I said, his voice was so Australian, I couldn't really understand any Arabic in him at all, if at all. And yeah, so, you know, he called me after I gave him my number, and he was just a really gentle person. And the first couple of times that we were calling each other, we'd probably talk for hours on the phone. And that's just it. There's nothing wrong with that. It's really an exciting time. If you want to find someone online, I can honestly say to you that that's a great way, especially if you are in a business or a job that doesn't really require you to meet people. And timing is, that's just it, isn't it? When you're so busy with your full-time job and you don't get the time to go out to a pub afterwards or meet someone, you know, and people are a little bit shy when you meet them in person than they are online. Online, I think there's a little bit more openness, a little bit more, they're able to let go of themselves a bit more and really let you know who they are. But this is just what I think. Please don't take what I think and turn it around and expect that you're going to find the perfect man online tomorrow. You know what I mean? Just don't do it like that. But my battery's about to die, so good luck with online dating if that's what you want to do. And if it isn't, good luck with dating at all. And I really hope you enjoy the process, because that's what it's all about. Okay, bye.